Okay, so you want to know how you can boost your energy naturally, right? Maybe you're tired or fatigued because you don't get enough sleep. Maybe you work too much and you're too stressed out to actually fall asleep. Maybe you've always been tired and you just can't figure out why, or it seems like you've always been tired. This is a common problem, and many people initially will resort to like caffeine or energy drinks, and that'll give them an initial boost, but it won't last long. Either it doesn't last throughout the day or it doesn't last long term, meaning in a week or so, I'm right back to where I started. And that's bound to happen if you don't address the underlying problem that could be causing your low energy to begin with. So this is one of the most common reasons people come into my practice and seek out my help is because of low energy. Now, maybe they also have other things going on too, but fatigue usually when you have other health issues, you're going to have some level of fatigue. Not always, but many times. And so, since this is one of the most common reasons that people seek my help, and other doctors like me, I wanted to give you some ideas on what could be causing you to be feeling so fatigued and what we can do to boost up your energy naturally. And so I'm going to go through 5 things that are causing your low energy. And for each one of these, I'm going to give you some examples on what you can do to boost your energy naturally. My name is Dr. Taranella, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So when people ask me how I can boost my energy naturally, one of the first things that comes to mind is what your vitamin status is of various vitamins. Now, not all vitamins are going to help boost your energy or give you a sense that you're of heightened energy, but many do, and it really depends, how deficient you're in those, whether it's going to have this effect. And then there's other reasons why it may or may not have that effect on you. So we can't just say, well, here, take X, Y, and Z vitamins, and boom, you'll be good. There's a chance you might be, but for some of them, you might actually end up causing more harm than good. So let's talk about a couple in particular. So B12 in particular can definitely improve your sense of energy and help your body run more efficient. The thing we have to remember is that all vitamins and some minerals act as cofactors for the enzymes in our body. And enzymes basically just help reactions occur. So, we take in food and that food turns into hormones, it turns into neurotransmitters. And in order for that to happen, you need enzymes for that to happen. Not the enzymes in your digestive tract as much. We're talking about the enzymes, intracellular enzymes that help the mechanics of your body work better. So back to specifics, like B12, for instance, is a cofactor for many aspects of the methylation cycle, and it can help with production of things like creatine and cell membranes and all these different things that when you don't have enough, you start to feel fatigued. So B12 is important. Iron is another one. Now, taking too much iron, could cause damage to some people. So you really have to make sure you're not taking too much. And also, when you're low in these things, whether it's B12 or iron, you kind of want to find out why you're low to begin with. That way you can sort of correct it or know how often you need to take it. And lab tests and things like that, symptoms can help guide that conversation or what that should look like for you. I talk about some of this stuff, especially with regard to B12 and some other videos, and maybe we'll post more regarding iron in the future. But vitamin D is another one that comes to mind. Low vitamin D, depending on how low it is, can cause people to have a little bit lower energy. It can potentially improve dopamine levels, which is a neurotransmitter that helps you, have more mental energy and motivation. So those are 3 that you could potentially take. I'm not saying you should take them, but if you're low on those, then definitely will help your energy. And B12 is one that, you're not really going to cause much harm with that one 9 times out of 10 if you do take it. So So vitamin levels are really important. Just make sure, with the iron and the vitamin D, you're not taking too much because it can cause some problems. And on all of them, you kind of want to find out why it's low to begin with. So so the second thing that comes to mind with how to boost your energy naturally is hormone levels. So low hormones can cause fatigue for sure. Sometimes high hormones can also do this kind of by the inverse. So for instance, if it affects your sleep, high hormones like high cortisol, for instance, can keep you awake. And so it's going to, potentially lead to, most likely over the long term, if it stays high, it's gonna lead to sleep deprivation and more superficial sleep. So you're just not getting that sound recovery from it. So other hormones for males, typically low testosterone will definitely cause some low energy and potentially the mental energy, but also the actual physical energy, ability to do work and exercise and feel good after that exercise. Testosterone can come into play too for females, but more so for females. I think about if they're postmenopausal females, would be more estrogen is going to be more stimulating for them, and so testosterone can play maybe more of a role for younger females, but it's also important that older females have enough testosterone. When you get older, your estrogen level is going down anyway, so that's usually kind of more the focus. But put testosterone in there too, and it can actually boost up your estrogen levels as well. And then the third kind of category of hormones that I think about is cortisol and adrenal function. So low cortisol, high stress over long periods of time can lead to low cortisol, sometimes called adrenal fatigue. And as I said, high cortisol can actually impair your sleep, which can affect your ability to recover and get proper rest, so you're able to take advantage of everything that comes your way the next day. And then one more that comes to mind is things that alter your blood sugar. So cortisol does alter your blood sugar, but so does insulin. So if you're getting really fatigued after after you eat, it's potentially from too much insulin. And this is notable when you're also gaining a lot of weight. So high cortisol could potentially lead to high insulin, but not always from high cortisol. So you want to look at what your insulin levels are and how your blood sugar levels are. So if you're getting a spike and then a crash, that's usually from high blood sugar and then followed by high insulin, which drives down your blood sugar and makes you kind of fall asleep or feel tired. So those are kind of four categories to think about. The last one, it's pretty straightforward there. You'd want to, kind of reduce your carbohydrate intake. And that's sometimes easier said than done, but there's some ways to, help your body kind of even out as you're doing that. And then, for high cortisol, you want to do, like stress management kind of stuff, potentially take some adrenal herbs like ashwagandha or something like that to help balance out your stress level. So the second category of how to boost your energy level would be hormones. So the third category or third thing here that I think about when trying to boost someone's energy naturally is what's going on with your digestion. And digestion can play a role for various reasons in energy levels because, number one, that's where you absorb all of your macronutrients like your carbohydrates, your fats, and protein, and your micronutrients like vitamin levels, and then even some of the things that aren't always measured, but like the color in the fruit, the polyphenols, and all these super nutrients that help your cells run at their optimal level. Things like resveratrol, all these things are boosting the function of your cells, and when you're not absorbing those things or you don't have good digestion, those things are going to be lower floating around in your body. So obviously absorption. Now, if you have some inflammation or digestive issues, which could be like IBS or IBD, like Crohn's, colitis, the one of the main things that we do to fix that for like IBD, like Crohn's and colitis, is to calm down the inflammation. The inflammation is coming from inside the digestive tract, but the immune system is also getting triggered by that. And sometimes you'll get low-level inflammation, which can drain your energy, just like a cold or a flu. You might feel kind of fatigued when you have the cold or flu, even if it's mild. That's from the cytokines coming from the immune cells, and those can definitely drain our energy. And in addition, it's draining to the body for those immune cells to be, working more than they need to. So fixing digestive issues can be helpful because you're cutting down on inflammation and that, kind of drain on the body's energy. And you're also, potentially improving the immune function when it doesn't have to deal with stuff down in the digestive tract. Your body is more reserves to do other things like produce actual energy, help your neurotransmitters work, and all that thing. So that's kind of a broad kind of overview of how digestion can affect your energy and help you boost your energy naturally. But and then just a little tip there too would be if you want to get better digestion, is find out what foods are triggering that. Food can be a really big trigger for inflammation and poor absorption. So, and you're putting that food in there every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. And if that's triggering poor absorption and inflammation, which are often tied together, then guess what's going to happen to your energy? Every time you eat that food, boom, you're going to get drained. So food can play a big role. And in fact, that's the next topic we're going to go into a little more detail. Okay, so diet-wise, there's a couple things that come to mind of, what things people do that tend to not allow them to get enough energy. And so when we talk about boosting your energy naturally, diet is huge. Maybe that should be number one actually on this list, but all these things are interrelated. Of course, if you're not digesting well, you're not getting enough, potentially not getting enough vitamin levels, which could potentially impair your ability to produce hormones. And what impacts digestion? As we said, diet. So all these things are interrelated. Keep that in mind. But so diet-wise, we have macronutrients and micronutrients. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about that. Imbalances, or too much carbohydrate, too much protein, too much fat, can potentially lead to slowdown in your energy production, depending on the person. Typically, it's too much carbohydrate for most people. So there's different macronutrient breakdowns, and I'm not going to tell you, which one's best for everyone, because it's not always the same. It really depends on what you're doing exercise-wise, what your ability to balance your blood sugar is. But generally speaking, people eat too many carbohydrates, and that can lead to fatigue. Sometimes we're not getting enough protein. So if you're eating a vegetarian, vegan type diet, you may be getting some protein from your lentils and beans and things like that, but you're also getting a lot of carbohydrate with that. So usually recommend a protein supplement when you're eating a vegan, vegetarian diet. That way you don't have to get so much carbohydrate every time you eat your protein sources. So keep that in mind. It should be about half of your body weight in grams of protein, or somewhere around there, give or take, depending on what's going on with your situation. But not enough protein is can lead to not enough neurotransmitters. Our neurotransmitters are made from amino acids, and without enough protein, you're not going to be able to produce those amino acids, among many other things. Our body's made up of protein, so all those cells and proteins need to be replaced and regenerated at different times. Sometimes 30 days, sometimes 90 days. It really depends how quickly the turnover is in that particular tissue, but you need to have enough protein. Um, Same thing with fats. If you have a really, really low fat diet, you need fat for producing hormones. You need it for all of your cell membranes, and so you need to make sure you're having enough fat in your diet too. Um, so that's kind of the macronutrient side, and then there's the immune side, which we talked about with digestion. So if there's the food you're eating is causing inflammation and problems in the digestive tract, it's probably causing systemic problems. And that can lead to chronic inflammation, autoimmune disease, and a real drain on your energy. So you need to find out which foods are triggering your inflammation. And there's various ways to test for that and various experiments you can do to figure that out. I've posted other videos on diet and digestive things, so be sure to check those out if you want to know more about that. And then um, lastly, with regard to diet is just how well the food choices that you're making from the macronutrient and micronutrient perspective, but more so wanted to talk a little bit about the micronutrients. So are you getting enough vitamins and nutrients from the food? Are you eating, all breads and white stuff or sugary stuff? And is it processed? Does it have a lot of chemicals like food coloring and um, uh, food that were potentially sprayed with a lot of pesticides? All these things are going to have a negative drain, or potentially, I mean, they will have a negative drain on your body, but whether or not that's going to be the critical thing that's going to help you improve your energy, it's hard to say. But for some people, genetically, those things are really important. So next topic we're going to talk about is misleading. The sleep is actually going to be number 5, and then we'll talk a little bit about genetics too. We'll wrap that into number 5. So you get a bonus one. So sleep. So a lot of people, some people have trouble sleeping their whole life. They find this, early on in their teens or even younger. Trouble falling asleep, trouble staying asleep. They just tend to not need as much sleep. That could be fine as long as you don't have low energy. If you all of a sudden are having lower energy, but the sleep is the same, that may not be a contributing factor. But many times, we just don't know how much we're sleeping too, unless you have like a fit, some kind of monitor that monitors your sleep level. So with regard to sleep, generally 6 to 8 hours. If you're getting less than 6 hours, even if you've had this your whole life, I don't think that's healthy, and need to look at that as far as ways to boost your energy naturally. So, and I kind of break up the sleep into 2 categories. One is I can't fall asleep, and 2 is I can't stay asleep. So if you have the former, can't fall asleep, it's usually from overthinking, and that could be from a COMT SNP, which is a genetic thing. I do have other videos related to the COMT SNP, so you might want to check that out. But sometimes magnesium can be really helpful for this. And then the other category is whether or not you're falling asleep, staying asleep. And that's usually related to higher cortisol, higher stress levels. Now, both can be going on at the same time. You could have trouble falling asleep and you're restless. And so you may have, overactive thinking, and that's leading to higher cortisol levels. So that's not uncommon, but you don't always have to do both. Try to treat one and then maybe circle back to the other, depending on where the prevalence is, and you can do some testing to figure out where you're at that way. So the higher cortisol, you want to kind of help the adrenal glands. Maybe take some higher protein, higher fat food before you go to bed. It'll keep the cortisol levels from spiking. Sometimes blood sugar issues can be more of the problem rather than stress. So sleep is important. And then genetics comes in to play usually over time where your body gets more, the enzymes that are naturally there from your genetics get stressed for various reasons, whether it's diet problems and inflammation, or high stress from a job, or family stress, or all kinds of things can trigger high stress, high cortisol in our bodies. But also there's other things that stress the body that aren't necessarily stress from like work or pressure kind of stress. And so as those stressors kind of affect the body in various ways, you'll start to see genetic vulnerabilities show up and push your biochemistry in different ways. And my job, as when I look at someone's genetics, is to find out where that biochemistry has been shifted. And generally we'll look at these other things first, and when they're not working, then kind of look at, okay, what might be going on genetically and how can we help, knowing those genetics, how can we help shift that biochemistry back into a more balanced state. And when you do that, you're going to have better energy. So there's many different genetic vulnerabilities that can do this. There's things in the mitochondria, there's things in the methylation pathway, there's things regarding your production of antioxidants like glutathione. So many things can affect your energy levels. And so hopefully this gives you some ideas and a broad understanding of what you should be looking at to help boost your energy naturally. All right, so I hope that video was helpful and useful, helping you understand and think about how to boost your energy naturally. If it was, please click on the like button. That helps me to know which type of content you guys like, and I can focus on that. I only have limited time to produce these videos, but hopefully it's helping. And click on that like button. It helps me to understand, what types of info you guys like the most. I will be posting more videos soon on similar type of content. We might want to go into some of the vitamin level stuff more, genetic stuff more. So if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel and you'll get the notification when the next video is posted. And also, if you have any questions about any of this stuff that was posted in this video, just leave it in the comment section and I'll get to those when I have time. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.